into the resonance of that, and then being able to apply some kind of like electrostatic like lifting force generated from some kind of axial solenoid. I don't know. That's not something that anybody's proven, so I don't know. It's just hypothetical at this point. But if he had some kind of other crazy magic that he did, but
Like a piezoelectric type of a field that he could generate.
I mean, there's got to be some piezoelectric potential from coral. I think this is probably like lots of encrusted like silicates and stuff like that in there. I don't know if there's a way to vibrate it. You know, but that's yeah. My brain goes dead. Um,
Is Lion still here?
Yeah, but I can't really talk right now, bro. Sorry, but I'm listening.
Well, when you can talk, it would be good to hear your thoughts on, like, is it good or is it not good to have thoughts about things such as the Akashic records and remote viewing? A few other modalities that could be bundled into that, like the way that alternative, like spiritual thinking is, to me, it's all a positive thing. So, like, I want to know if any of those things, when you do get a chance, is like, are they bad? Yeah.
yeah, I don't know, like if people like how many people really actually just remote view raw like that. But sometimes people like will hit upon something. I mean, it's like it's more of like I think all the different types of remote viewing involve like I mean they're not just like 100% instinctual. I don't think maybe there's some that are like that, but usually they're like a system of some sort. And so like it's really that like people have the ability to reach out and to like basically conduct some sort of flow of information that's coming from somewhere, you know, that they theorize is they call it the Akashic record. Whether that or not that's actually something that's like dimensional within like physical space here, or just like exists in some sort of like you know immutable sort of stasis field. Just I don't know, like whatever you want to say. Like it could be anything, or like I think it's just like it might even just be like something that's an impermanent thing that just is like always occurring, and so therefore there's always like a trace back to like different nodes of things that have occurred, and you pretty much require just like a strong connection to that event or a very sensitive seeker, But it's effectively like just the inner mind, the inner eye, and I think that's certainly something that people could like develop more, like in life. So, like if we weren't so consumed with like just trying to survive like on the daily, you know what I mean, and you could definitely focus like much time to like sort of uh, you know, nighttime dreaming, lucid dreaming techniques, and a whole technology base that was like 100 years advanced from now. You know what I mean? It's like that would be pretty cool. Like we'd be on some other end of the spectrum here, man. As far as being able to like utilize these like extended cognitive sort of um, powers, I think people do have like a lot of yeah unclassifiable things that that are capable. But I guess that's I sort of believe that in some way that just our activity in our vision and our minds are actually like sort of in a way projecting uh, I don't know, some kind of like a quasi particle something. So we're doing something like in our interactions in this place, and that's why I think we imprint and into the ether, and I think other living things do too, in some sort of this resonant field because we're like, yeah, yeah. I'm talking about it being like within something that's liquid or water, or we were talking about memory of water before, but like we're effectively like an animated water. We're mostly water. I don't know, whatever, however you want to look at it. It's like we're just built out of this stuff, so maybe we're just naturally sort of, and other living things naturally sort of resonate with this sort of, uh, just like I guess what would necessarily be just like, I guess a biomic memory that just exists to take it out of the Akashic mystery, ness that is, just that like living things imprint upon reality in a way that is that can be taken back. And like if you think about like even genes and things like that, you might you'll see like every couple of generations like, oh, the kid looks like his grandfather, basically. Like how did that happen? Type of thing. It's just these resonant things within even our own like genetic memory, and then I think in itself like how that's connecting back to the greater like biomic akashic field or whatever, the thing that remembers stuff, or like you can't really shrink time, but you can shrink the waves down, so we could packetize like a 30-hour fucking opera or something like that, and, shrink it down to like a few seconds or something, or less. Packed all that into a wave, and yeah, I guess that's in a way like I think about like the sun kind of like, and it's the light that it's casting. You know what I mean? It's almost like it could be imbued with all of these types of like more subtle energies than we actually like try to measure or account for. We're just like counting hours or whatever, but it could be subtly like, putting like these wave frequencies in, or effectively like sort of like a master program or something like that, where it's just like, like sort of conducting things, or stars could, or the moon could. I mean, effectively all these kinds of interactions could be going on. I don't know. There's something to like this free will versus like not free will, and there's something I guess like that makes us feel about like free will with this going out in the day, and feeling like that there's something to go out, and I think that makes us feel like we've got time, we've got like potential, all this thing's gonna happen, and then this sort of retrogressive nighttime cycle, unplugged from the consciousness, and then what I mean, all that. It's like the sort of the antithesis of it, and these two things, but counter to become what for us is reality. Daytime, nighttime. Um, the dualistic nature of that might suggest that like I don't know if there's like forces and counter forces that allow for and take away from possibilities within like the grand matrix of possibilities. Like every day it's accounted for or something like that, adjusted for. Although it depends upon like what you really think the moon and what you really think the sun is doing. Uh, and yeah, I kind of feel like they're it's possible for like the sun to just like beat on like the ground all day or whatever in the desert, make a rock really hot, and then there's a full moon at night, and then it's gonna like draw the heat out of that rock, which I think is a process that I have my own theories about, like how this moonlight shit works, but effectively it's gonna cool it, so it's like it's almost like the sun and the moon kind of juggle this therm through, this material sort of game. You know what I mean? And it's interesting to kind of consider it that way. Yeah, everything is within this cycle, like all living things here.
Yeah, I guess if you're in tune with things like animals, they can sense an earthquake and they can sense like disaster. They know that something's coming and they'll react, because they're in tune.
I just read an article how they found like a large deposit of granite on the moon, and it's like emitting. Did you hear about this?
I read the
Granite.
headline.
Yeah, they're saying that the moon is actually hot.
Yeah, it shouldn't have any granite on it, but take that for granted. Take the moon
Take
for
Well,
granted.
I'd like to counter. I'd like to counter that argument.
You'd like to countertop that argument? Go ahead.
But I don't have a real counter.
Yeah. Break the regolith down for me. Whatever the moon shall be, no mortal man shall know. Huh? Right.
Next, they'll tell you what's inside the moon. Next, they'll be able to tell you what's right in the middle of the moon, like what it's made of. That's what they'll tell you next.
Oh yeah, I just saw an article that said it's not made of cheese, but I always thought it was like an interesting, like, how the fuck did we ever get to there? By the way, like, how did we ever get to the moon is made of green cheese? And how often do you fucking see a green ass moon? Dude? Like, to be honest, right? Like almost never. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, we're pretty close to the Earth. They really have no idea what's down there because they haven't been there. But next, they'll be able to tell you 230,000 miles away, there's another rock that's floating around in space. And without digging into it, they can tell you what it's made of, right? And like, I think they even claim that they can tell you what all the other planets are made of too, like right from the core,
Just from the colors.
just from like guessing.
Yeah.
Oh no, but there's a system to it.
But this cheese thing now,
Yeah.
like, just get with me on it. Like, it doesn't look green, but anyway, did it used to? Did the moon used to look greener? And we just
Pretty sure it did.
don't have
Yeah.
photography that actually represents that. But I mean, could there have been more of a type of gas element in the atmosphere? I don't know, but it also sounds like it's a stupid story, right? But it also sounds like, to me, right? Like chi is chi, right? You know how like chi is like a Chinese concept as well. It kind of precedes possibly cheese. You know that? You know what I'm saying? Do you know what I mean though?
Because
Like,
it sounds the same. Yeah.
right.
Cheese.
And the Chinese, right? They're all about talking about like seven rings around the moon. You know what I mean? They know it as like something that like forecasts like weather cycles and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, is it possible it's like some kind of Anglo bullshit teaching to just obfuscate from the fact that like Chinese people think there's something to do with Qi and the moon? And so like the Anglification like joke, the joke of it, you know what I mean? It's like a like to just obfuscate. There's tons of stuff like basically, like even in the subjugation and slave work or whatever for the railroads that they say that the Chinese built, like they would call Chinese people like celestials, as a I think as a negative, But the fact that they were, they were all into like they had a sophisticated understanding that went back a long time for I guess cosmology and astrology and stuff like that. I just think that's interesting. Yeah, they're the first people to come up with the
All right, hold up.
armillary sphere. That's essentially the. Okay.
Check this out. Quote, using an instrument looking at microwave wavelengths longer than infrared, sent to the moon on both the Chinese Chang'e 1 and 2 orbiters, they've been able to map temperatures below the surface. Researcher Dr. Matt Siegler, the Planetary Science Institute. So
what?
So they know how to detect the temperature underneath the surface, at least.
Yeah, but we can tell you another story, and it's like, I think it was over 40 years. I'm not sure how many years, but in India, there's been more than 2,500 bridge collapses, and you think that with their amazing technology that they're able to build so many bridges and they all fall down, do you think they can make it to the moon? Like, do you really think they went to the moon?
No, wait.
Wait, are you denying satellites?
Well, satellites don't go to the moon, do they?
Uh-oh. Okay, we could just disagree on that.
That's actually a good point. It's like there may be satellites, but are they going to the moon?
But yeah, lunar orbiters, it's not just NASA sending them out.
No, they do have like projects or whatever. Cassini, I gotta go.
Yeah, how do satellites orbit, Carlos?
They go over your head
How?
from one place to another.
So you think satellites orbit?
I think there is definitely technology that can send and receive signals and be placed high up in the sky, so high up that you can't even see them with your telescope. But to say that they're going under my feet, that's begging the question.
Yeah, satellites utilize orbital mechanics. So if you believe satellites, you believe we could go to the moon.
Yeah,
with a
but
satellite.
to believe in orbital mechanics, you also have to believe that there's this magical thing called gravitation.
I don't have to believe orbital mechanics. It happens every day.
Are you able to demonstrate the solar system in a lab?
I understand that you can just say orbital mechanics and invoke orbit. You have to prove it. Prove the orbit.
It's like, can you show it in a lab? Like reproduce the solar system all of the motions that in all the interactions between each body? Or is it just a thought? Because I thought science was about demonstrability.
That is correct. Science proves how things work.
What's the argument against satellites?
The begging of the question that they're going under my feet.
Invoking orbit. You have to prove the orbit.
Yeah, can you show a satellite that's going under my feet?
Uh, Depending on where you are, you could try to track the ISS.
Those satellites that would be going over people's head in Australia, they would be upside down relative to us. Is that correct?
Yep, satellites use the globe prediction to take advantage of orbital mechanics. That's right.
What's the mechanism? What's the mechanism for orbital mechanics in the solar system? I know you're just gonna say like gravitational waves.
Oh, have you ever looked into it?
Because apparently there's gravity, which is local, and then there's gravitation, which is to do with the orbital mechanics, which is outside of our field of gravity. I just
Satellites get launched every day.
satellites get launched every day,
Yep,
and after they get launched, where do they go?
lower Earth orbit.
Is it
This is
possible to?
mainly because you were talking about what the moon is made out of at one point.
Yeah, but is it possible to verify that that satellite is going beneath your feet?
You're speculating what the moon is made out of, and there are, you know, like let me send this article.
Just because they have a technology here on Earth that they can prove works and they can measure stuff and they can like have high altitude balloons or airplanes and they can like see the temperature of the Earth and they can look through the oceans and see what it looks like and they can predict the weather. It doesn't mean that this technology is actually being used beyond the Earth.
How do you fake launching a satellite to people that work on satellites?
You just show them some CGI and they believe it.
Are you sure that's what happens?
I'm pretty sure. Like, I'm really sure.
I don't think so. I don't think you're sure of that. Well, you don't have to contest satellites, you know.
if I had the technology of being able to fly things around in the sky at incredible speeds, incredible heights, and knowing that it's a flat plane of existence and it's not a ball, I'd want to keep my technology secret so I could be king of the world, and I would propagate this globe idea and promote it as much as possible so that I could contain my wealth and
If
keep
I
my
had the money,
secret.
I could build and launch a satellite if I had the material.
But I
And the
bet
right
you
tools.
if you built a satellite and a rocket in the exactly the same way that they're telling you that it works, your satellite's going to go up and it's going to come straight back down.
That's usually not the case for satellites that get launched into lower Earth orbit. They end up orbiting the Earth.
What would be really cool is if you could launch a satellite yourself and to verify it as much as possible as you could with no departmentalization, and to see if you can still communicate with that satellite that you're pretty sure went up there in the same fashion that they explained to you how to do it.
And you could, Carlos. It just takes obviously money because takes a lot of fuel, a lot of hardware to get it up to. You got to get it going really fast, 17,500 miles an hour in low Earth orbit, and then you don't need any fuel because there's no drag, there's no atmospheric drag to slow it down, so it just keeps going.
That'd be a good experiment. You could do it. You can launch a satellite yourself and put like a special code on it so the signal is unique to you, like a Bitcoin code, and then like prove to everybody, look, there it is, there's my satellite.
Well, why don't
You believe
you start a Patreon page? I'll donate to it, and you'd need a good few $1 million. But you should do that. It'd be like the Sputnik for flat earthers.
That's amazing. Like the more kilometers that it uses, the more crazy the money becomes. Like the further up you go, it's not 50 volts per meter above sea level. It's $50,000.
Yeah, but it's the same as it costs you a couple $100 to go to Australia, where it costs you a couple of grand to go to LA.
Yeah, but I can get a ticket to go to Thailand for $600. So, come on, it's not really a good comparison.
Well, no, it is because you're saying about the distance, and you're accelerating a mass into vertically, and then going around. That's obviously why they curve, because how else would you get around a sphere? And then you got to get it going really fast horizontally. So it's gonna take a wee bit of coin.
Yep, that method of getting into lower Earth orbit is demonstrated around the world daily.
Yep.
You would have to say that all these people are being duped and deceived.
Like Carlos,
Or,
how?
yeah.
Oh no, you go ahead.
Oh, no, it's fine. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just going to say about them saying that the rockets are curving and just going back into the ocean. But if that would be the case if the Earth's flat. But if the Earth's a sphere, which it very clearly is, you just ignore all the evidence for it. How else would you think a rocket would get round a sphere? It's not going to go straight up. That would be inefficient as all fuckery.
Right. Actually, for a little while there, I had a misconception that you could put a satellite into lower Earth orbit using balloons, but they don't travel sideways fast enough. Have to use
No.
the rocket to launch a satellite. Yeah.
Well, do you know of the US fighter jet, the F-15?
Okay. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure last year they did a. I'm pretty sure they launched a tiny CubeSat with an F-15. It went to Mach 2. It wasn't going to stay in orbit because it didn't get fast enough, but it got to Mach 2 and got to 60,000 feet flying in a parabola and hurled the thing. And it
It didn't
went
stay
around
in
the Earth.
orbit.
No, I think it only went around the Earth for like maybe a week.
How many revolutions around the Earth is that?
Oh, I'm guessing it would have been about the same as the space station every 90 minutes, but that would have got slower and slower because it was getting lower and lower and slower and getting into the atmosphere. So
And that's just because the F-15 doesn't go fast enough.
yeah, they were just trying to show that they could use for like a temporary communication satellites, kind of like Starlink, if they needed temporary communication satellites on a certain frequency in the event of a conflict or something, they could
Oh yeah.
literally launch, and the enemy wouldn't know what the frequency or anything was.
How recent was this?
I think it might have been just before the pandemic, perhaps. Just look up F-15 satellite launch, and it should come up.
You telling me what company did this?
Well, NASA had something to do with it, so it must be fake.
LTV Aerospace Division. LTV.
Yeah, that sounds like it.
And the aircraft was from the United States Air Force.
Yeah, an F-15. Yeah.
I only brought up that because if you want to ponder what the moon is made out of, so do they. They send up satellites to find out what's going on with the moon.
Yeah.
Have you seen the India moon landing?
Honestly, I haven't looked at any of the launch footage or anything.
I've looked at the launch footage, and that's clear CGI. I'll give you that. I don't know why you'd think there'd be another craft following it to get actual footage. So I don't know what you're saying, Carlos.
It's just like all cartoons.
Yeah, but why would that's because there's not another thing filming it? Then you have to have animations taken off the what do they call it? The telemetry of what it's doing.
So they decided to use like
Exactly the same.
Illuminati card style graphic design to
Exactly.
portray.
No. Exactly the same as on my Garmin GPS. That it knows where I am in the world, and it shows a fucking aeroplane, and I'm in a helicopter, and it's a little cartoon aeroplane. I don't complain that. I don't get upset that it's showing I'm in an aeroplane, but it's a cartoon thing looking straight down of where I am in the world. Same thing.
Kind of like when you're waiting for your DoorDash or your Uber delivery, and you can see the little car stopping at like 100 stops on its way, and your food's getting cold.
Yeah, it's exactly the same thing. Like Snapchat when I'm at the airport and it says it knows I'm at the airport, but it puts me emoji thing that I'm in an airplane. I don't get upset and email Snapchat and say, "Can you at least say that I'm in a fucking helicopter?"
So it's giving something for someone to visualize, so that the
You
so
gotta
that
know
the
one.
so that the illusion can set in, like, and it can be like set in concrete.
No, no. That's not what it's doing. It's just portraying the data that is coming back, just the same as Snapchat does, just the same as GPS does. And it's, I guess, in the world of flat Earth, it's obviously open to interpretation. But yeah, it's just, I mean, for you guys for satellites to be proven, there'd have to be another satellite to video the satellite, but then there'd have to be another one to video that, and then another one, and another one, and another one. And even if there was fucking a line of 1,000 of them, you'd probably still say it was CGI. Or you definitely would.
You just think that, like, the craft that's landing on the moon can just send back video footage.
Or you have to think of do you mean like detailed footage of cities on Earth? Is that what you mean?
I'm just talking about a video. It's like, it's 2023. We've got some pretty damn good technology for making videos.
Yeah, but the shit that we send that far away, we do have amazing technology, but for something that far away, the bandwidth that we get, you could send a 4K camera up there and it's still going to be 440p because of the bandwidth. It could have the biggest fucking lens in the world on it. It's about the data transfer from something being so far away.
The Deep Space Network. You got to look up these satellites. Sorry.
Or do you think that the Indians are going to come up and show, okay, look, we had a camera on there, we couldn't do it live, we couldn't send it to you straight away, so we did a cartoon instead, just like Uber does. But like, once we get once we get the recording, we'll show you what it actually really looked like. Do you think they're going to show us? Because like, they have the technology to be able to land it there and steer it, and to put it down in its place. Obviously, there's communication going on. It's like, do you think they'll be able to get that video? Which obviously they must be, they must have done. Do you think they're going to share it with us?
Yeah, they will. I haven't actually. That reminds me. The recent, what was it, 5-6 months ago, the Artemis unmanned mission around the moon. I'm pretty sure, I'll have to look it up, but I'm pretty sure there's some pretty detailed footage from that.
There's a Deep Space Network. We have big radio tower signals being sent. That's for receiving information and images.
Hmm.
They call it the DSN.
But it's still the bandwidth. That's why the initial Artemis footage was live, even though it was delayed because they're so far away. But the initial images looked really crap, like you've got a real bad dial-up connection. But it's the same thing as saying, and I hear it all the time from flat earthers, it doesn't make sense. That doesn't make it wrong.
Yeah, because sometimes, like, that they're having communications from Earth to the astronauts on the ISS, and they're like, you can see the astronauts waiting because there's a delay, so they're waiting to hear what's being said. But sometimes you can see that they actually already heard and they already recognize what was being said, and you can see it in their body language. They like laugh or they smile or they smirk or some reaction, and you know that they've already heard it, but they just pretend that there's this delay, and they wait and they wait, and then they spill the beans. They just, it's just acting. That's what it is.
No, Carlos, I think that's more cherry picking as such, if you like, because think of heaps of situations in
No,
like
it's
the world.
called
No,
Black
no,
Swan, man.
no,
Black
no.
Swan. That's what it is. Yeah.
I don't know what you do for a job, but a lot of jobs involve not a briefing, but you think you know what you're going to do, and then it changes at the last second, and you sit around and have a chuckle, have a smoke, if you're have a wee peck at your lunch, and then it's exactly the same thing. They that would be my guess.
That's total obfuscation, like from the fact that we can show so many videos when they're pretending to have a time delay, and it's so evident that they're just faking the time delay
And
because they have to, otherwise you wouldn't believe that they're in space,
and
orbiting.
and and I'll tell you what, but I don't go that high, obviously. But I can tell you what, the example I just gave is the exact same thing. The exact same thing. I think I know what I'm doing in the morning, but that can change in 5 minutes, it can change in half an hour, it can change in 2 hours.
That didn't answer the question about why astronauts are faking time delays.
It answered the question as to how I answered it before is you're cherry picking saying these things, but the
No, it's a black
example I gave
swan.
is
It's not
probably
cherry
what's
picking.
happening.
It's not cherry picking. It's a black swan.
You can
How
call it
did we
that all
get to
you like.
talking about?
Cherry picking.
How did we get to Black Swan? I thought I was listening.
Yeah, I don't know.
All you
Usually,
have to
when I
do is
don't understand how the topic changes because I wasn't listening.
you just have to catch them out one time faking it, and the whole lot's fake.
No, well, see. Here's the thing. Here's the thing, Carlos, and this is what it really boils down to. If you catch your girlfriend talking to a dude that you don't know in a bar, does that mean that every other male she talks to for the rest of your lives together, does that mean she's cheating?
If she's just talking to someone, that all that is talking to someone.
But you don't know what's going on because you don't know them.
No, but if I know that there's supposed to be a time delay, and it's evident in
No,
video that the
forget
astronauts are
that. Forget
faking
that.
the time delay, right? Then
No,
that's a black swan.
forget the time delay because we've got a time delay now, so we're going to forget that. If your missus is talking to a dude that you don't know in a bar and you walk up and she goes, fuck, what are you doing here, Carlos? You're automatically going to go, what the fuck was that about? And then every other time you see her in the supermarket or anywhere talking to a dude, you're going to assume that she's cheating or something's going on. That's cherry picking Black Swan 101.
No, because that initial talking wasn't evidence that she was cheating. She was just talking to
Wait,
someone.
no, isn't that evidence that she's like there's a history of lying? Like if there's a history of lying, then why would you believe in your scenario, why would you believe the woman? Like Dude, you're
Actually,
comparing apples to oranges right now with NASA with this, dude. Because like, it's not. I get what you're saying though, Jazz. But with what we're talking about with NASA, it's not the same thing, man.
yeah, no, actually, Uber, we were talking the other night, and that's actually I got sidetracked. That's actually what I was trying because Carlos brought up the black swan, and what I was meant to say is about the lying thing is if she says, "Oh, I was just talking to him, nothing's happening," but you go, "Oh no, hang on a minute, I don't know this dude, and you just look pretty cozy," and then you're automatically going to think every other time she talks to a dude that you don't know in the supermarket or at a skate park or at the swimming pool or anywhere, you got to be going, hang on, you're lying to me.
Well, yeah, but so in your scenario, there had to have been some kind of trust built, right? Like in your
Yeah, yeah.
relationship. We're saying that we don't fucking trust NASA, dude. So there is no relationship between us and NASA. So it's like apples and oranges again, man. Like
But
they haven't proven anything to us personally. So why
All
should we
this is
trust them?
proof
Because
of
trust is earned. They haven't earned it yet.
all this is proof of is he's making a bad analogy. That's all this is. I don't know why y'all are answering the girlfriend.
yeah, no, I hear you. I did fuck up that analogy for sure.
NASA's not the only, company making satellites, though.
Yeah,
But
I know.
everything has to go through them, though.
No,
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
no, it
Like, like,
doesn't.
like SpaceX, for example, they're about to launch the Starship, and
So you're telling me that when
yeah,
SpaceX goes to launch anything, they don't have to inform anybody that they're going to do that? There's no agency they have to report to and tell them, hey, we're going to launch this giant dick up into the sky. You guys cool with that?
no. Here's what I'm about to tell you. They are using NASA facilities, but that's just like you taking your airplane and landing in an airport and taking off again. NASA's got nothing to do with it. Starship's supposed to be taking off before the 25th of September. As far as SpaceX is concerned, they've got all their ducks in a row, all the I's T'd and the fucking T's dotted, as the old fashioned goes. And
Hey,
the
Jazzo, you look at Livestream text. I posted a screenshot. It says that 99% of the data that's going from country to country is all done by undersea cables.
that's cool.
99%. Yeah.
That's cool.
So why the fuck would we need a satellite, right?
Actually, just let me finish saying what I was saying about SpaceX. Is NASA has nothing to do with SpaceX. Not a thing. The only reason that SpaceX is being held up now is because of the FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration. They've got things that they're not happy about, and SpaceX has to do those changes. I don't know what they are, but it's got nothing to fucking do with NASA. It has to do with airspace and is the vehicle airworthy? I don't know why, because it's going to fucking space. It's out of the atmosphere, so I find that weird. Sorry, what were you just saying, Carlos, about the...
Well, I'll go real quick and read this quick little snippet. SpaceX and NASA recently announced a joint effort to further space exploration. Working closely together, they feel like they can do a better job.
Yeah,
And in
what?
advance, yeah, you saying that NASA has nothing to do with SpaceX is not entirely true either. They work together.
No. What I said was NASA has nothing to do with what SpaceX does, and what you just said literally says that NASA is working with SpaceX to make NASA astronauts flights cheaper to the space station or the moon.
No, I did not say anything about
No.
making SpaceX making NASA's astronauts cheaper to the moon. No, I did not say that. I said they're working closely together. Right
Yes.
after you said they don't have
Yes.
anything to do with each other.
Yeah, they don't.
Yeah, you seem to be agreeing
No,
with me.
hang on. No, I'm not agreeing with you. What I'm saying is NASA has nothing to do with what SpaceX is doing in their launches. When they want to launch, it's up to the FAA.
That's not true.
What I'm saying is, and what you don't understand is, NASA
Yeah,
is
I don't
working. Okay, you don't, because NASA is working closely with SpaceX to provide. SpaceX is a private company, and they can provide transport to the space station, which is cheaper than NASA building a whole new fucking thing for billions of dollars, taxpayer dollars. It's actually saving you money.
They got you, but you're saying that's the only thing they're doing. That's not. They're working closely together on all things.
I can still
What point
track a satellite.
You don't understand. I mean, it didn't take you long to tell someone they didn't understand when you've been wrong about everything so far.
No, you don't understand. It's like you going, it's like you taking your kids to school 3 miles, and then you go, and then you're going to work closely with the school bus to, instead of going past your street, you're going to work closely with them to go around the corner and pick your kids up.
No.
Same fucking
No,
thing.
it's like you saying that the school bus and my kids have nothing to do with each other when they ride the bus every day. That's what we're talking about here.
So, hey,
What the fuck are you
Jazz.
on?
So here, 10 years ago, May 22nd, 2012, Elon Musk SpaceX made history. The company became the fourth entity after the United States, Russia, and China to launch a spacecraft into orbit on May 31st of that year, return it back to Earth. The achievement fundamentally altered the course of the next decade of space exploration. The mission, the Dragon C-23, was also the first commercial spacecraft to dock with another spacecraft in orbit. All right? So it supposedly docked with the NASA shit up there. You're telling me they didn't have to get any fucking approval from NASA to do that?
Obviously, they did.
In your reality. Like, I don't believe NASA's up there. But you don't believe that there was some bullshit paperwork that had to be signed for NASA to say, hey, dude, no, it had to go through NASA, bro. That's
why would that rid the existence of a satellite though?
Because you're back to NASA. You can't use something you're trying to use
you can use
prove
a telescope
space
to track
to
a
prove
satellite.
this point.
Literally.
You can track satellites.
You can no, you fucking can't, dude. You can track the information they're telling you.
You're saying you can't track a satellite?
You track a fucking dot on a screen that they're giving you information to.
You can see it in the night sky.
They know where that satellite is because it's sending sending information on radio signals to the towers. And then you could track the satellite by looking at where it would be, and then you'll see it.
Have you never had a look at the space station app and gone, oh, it's coming over at this time, and literally you can go outside at that exact time and you can see the fucking thing? Yeah, albeit it's a light, but it's
I'll throw you a bone.
NASA can predict random lights coming over.
I'll throw you the bone that NASA
there's no association. Your claim was that there's no association. We're showing association, and now you're like, well, what about satellites? Fuck satellites. We're talking about the association with NASA. You said there was none. I just proved that there was one. Now what?
Okay, well, the association is very minimal.
No, it had to be approved by NASA, like I said, and you said no, right?
No, the launch isn't approved by NASA.
No, that's exactly what I said, dude.
Okay,
I said it had to be approved by NASA when it goes up, and you said no.
Hang on. If you... Here's my basic example of this. When the Dragon capsule went up, it was planned to dock with the International Space Station, which is operated by NASA. Now, When I take off from an airport, I have to file a flight plan. I have to let the next airport know where I'm landing. I can't just go and land there unless it's an emergency. It's the same fucking thing. SpaceX had to organise with NASA that they're going to dock with their space station. Same fucking thing.
So technically, is your operation private if you have to let everybody know what you're doing? Is that private?
You don't have to let everybody know what you're doing.
You had to let the airport know what you were doing, right?
I had to let the airport that I'm going from A to B, I had to let B airport know that I'm going to be arriving at such and such a
And
time.
when you show up, you have to follow their rules, otherwise they won't let you, right?
Yes, unless it's an emergency.
Bingo! SpaceX has to follow NASA's rules. Otherwise, guess what? In your example, still, same thing. NASA's not gonna let them fly if they don't follow the rules and say what they want them to say.
No. You're not getting it.
Yes.
No, what I
Yes.
literally said before was FAA has stopped SpaceX from flying. It's got nothing to do with NASA. If they were launching a Dragon capsule and they were going to the say they had a couple of astronauts on there, or even a cargo thing, and the astronauts on the space station were fucking starving to death, and SpaceX would communicate with NASA and say, look, we've got a problem with the Dragon capsule. I know you guys are fucked and you got fuck all food left. We've got a wee bit of a control problem. Put it out. NASA would go, nah, too risky, fuck off, or we got to get these guys. We got to take the ring. Same thing as landing a fucking airplane with 300 people on board. That the airplane's uncontrollable. It's controllable now, but we think we can get it down. We don't have permission to land here, and they'll go, fucking you land here. We'll get all the fucking fire equipment out. Fucking away you go.
I think their plan with Elon Musk is really clever. Like the way they've been able to manipulate the thinking of the people by having a solid, like tangible thing, which is called an electric car, and this really amazing design. It's like the top technology of the world right now, and because of that solidifying in everybody's brains that it's a real thing, it works, I can buy one, I can drive it, it's amazing technology. And then they compare that with the other thing that he claims to be doing is like flying his rockets into space and landing with a space station. It's just because they already have that confirmation that, this Tesla thing is just so great. Like everything else that he does must be true and must be real. But that's how they've like mind fucked everybody, everyone that's sucked into it. It's just a big illusion.
What's it like to be delusional, Carlos?
I don't know. Ask your spirit body.
I have, and they said to ask you.
What's it like to willingly believe in a lie?
What's it like to willingly believe in something that isn't a lie, but you think's a lie / why you're delusional?
It's just clever. It's just fucking clever. It's like in New Zealand we had a brand and it split itself into two because it had a monopoly on the market. So to avoid having a monopoly, it split itself into two and it created two different companies. But actually, it was the same company, and they gave the impression of competition and price wars, and all they were selling was the same stuff, with different names on it. One was
brand
called
was
Noel
that?
Lemmings. One was called Noel Lemmings. One was called Bond and Bond, and it's actually the same company. And that's exactly what they do all the time, and that's what they've done with SpaceX and NASA and Tesla, and it's
No.
it's just a farce.
No. All the space companies are separate. And
Oh, what about like Virgin Galactic, right? Remember those guys?
Yep.
Where are they at now?
Another private company, SpaceX, Rocket Lab, just up north from you there, Carlos. All private companies.
Yeah, they're just down
You
the
got
road from me, and like you see these guys walking out of there, and they look like they've got spirals in their eyes, like they've been hypnotized.
yeah. You want to
What?
think that Carlos isn't quite right, Kelly. He wants to think this
Carlos.
because this is the thing. Flat earthers have it's like the Richard Simmons thing or whatever it was with the what was the Earth's flat because it has to be or whatever the fuck that saying was. Flat earthers have to make space fake because it has.
Carlos, can I get you to? Okay, but Carlos, can I get you to read what I posted in general?
Wow, that's a long story. Are you Kali?
It's exactly what you're talking about.
Oh, okay, so where did you
Yeah, so I can build a satellite, but in order for me to be allowed to launch it into lower Earth orbit, yeah, you have to get a license, and you're going through space agencies. But that doesn't mean that they're taking your satellite and replacing it with something that's not your own.
How do you know that they're not taking your little cube and then all they're doing is spitting out numbers of data to you that you're getting on a device and you think it's really cool because you're fucking getting real up-to-date data, but it doesn't mean shit because your cube's sitting in a fucking warehouse somewhere.
You're making a positive claim. You're saying that NASA's not actually launching my satellite if I were to go ahead and build one, and that they're stealing mine and sending up their own and sending me the data.
No, I didn't say that they're standing up anything. I'm saying that they're not standing up shit. That's a positive
claim. You're saying you know what it isn't.
No, I said what if? What the fuck did you understand about that? What if there's a positive? Yeah, but not a fucking positive claim, dude. Come on.
But unless you can prove the what if, unless you can prove that that's a fact, then you don't have an argument.
Well, spoofing is a real thing, right?
Wait, hold on. So unless I can prove, then it's not a fact, but yet you'll believe fucking Newton, who didn't prove shit until Cavendish supposedly came along with his gravitational constant. Come on, dude.
So what's causing you to speculate? It's because you don't think that satellites can orbit Earth, or what's the reason?
Okay, because you're talking about like point fucking like E, and we're talking about how they need point A, B, and C to even get there, but you want to talk about E, all right? And we're going no, because they have to still explain all this other shit before you're even able to believe that they're able to put anything up there, dude. We were talking about this the other day with Echo 1, right? You want to talk about satellites? Here, how about we talk about the first one that they sent up? You want to talk about Echo 1? No, Echo 1.
What Sputnik was the first satellite.
Okay, no. Check out Echo 1 and what Echo 1 is. All right?
That sounds like a fucking story that you've heard on YouTube and you've believed the story, in all fairness.
No, it's fucking from NASA's website, bro. Are you fucking serious? Echo 1 was a gigantic, 0.5 millimeter thick mylar balloon filled with helium that they said stayed up there for almost 8 years.
Well, that's not a satellite.
It was the first fucking satellite, dude.
That's not a satellite. It's not an orbit.
Dude, are you fucking serious, man? Like, here, I'm gonna post a link in the chat so you can see
talking about Sputnik.
Send away.
No, so
are you talking about Sputnik?
No, I'm talking about Echo 1, bro.
Echo 1 was launched in a rocket as a satellite, and then they used explosive, like some type of explosive, to expand it, and then bounce radio signals off of it.
So
I don't know why.
Failed satellite.
No, it wasn't I don't know what you're talking about. You seem like you just disagree with things, but that was a NASA satellite they sent up and bounced signals off of it, supposedly. I'm not sure why you don't know about this.
I've never heard of it.
Yeah,
And I don't
well,
know why.
before you tell him he's wrong, maybe you should research it because you make yourself sound kind of drunk, maybe.
Well, only to you guys that don't know how to research how to get pissed up in a brewery. Speaking of being drunk.
Yeah, nice one, man. Yeah, I mean, you're just full of it. It's weird.
Okay, my bad. Correction, because apparently, yeah, no. So it was the first satellite NASA sent up, right? You guys were right. With Sputnik was the first one in 1957 from the Soviets, right?
Yes, Sputnik 1 and 2. And then what was the
And
first
dude,
US one?
Sputnik is nothing but a fucking balloon, dude. Are you serious? Like,
No, it's not. It's definitely not. It's the world's fastest fucking balloon, if that's what it was.
Echo 1 was a balloon.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's why I've never heard of it as a fucking satellite.
It's a lot of hard work that goes into making and designing these things, allowing for communication from a satellite to Earth. All that technology is there. They made it and they're using it, and they're repeating the method.
Yeah, and why is the US public so hell bent on spending millions and hundreds of millions of dollars on hundreds of thousands of engineers to make fucking satellites that just float on the bottom of balloons around the Earth? In their case, that doesn't make any sense. I'd be up in arms about that. Oh no, Uber. What do you call them? They're not satellites. They're satelloons, aren't they?
that's more believable than shit flying in space, dude.
Well, Uber.
Because that's seen.
Have you ever seen a weather balloon up at 120,000 feet? You can literally see the fucking balloon from the ground because it expands to the size of a football stadium. And if there's 30,000 satellites around the Earth, which is completely conceivable because they're far away, and if there's all these fucking satelloons going around the world, it's going to
Wait,
be.
hold on. Did you just say that that the weather balloon expands to the size of a football field?
Roughly, yeah, filled with nitrogen, and they go up to about 120,000 feet, and then, but ironically, because of the air pressure gets so low, because of the pressure gradient, that it expands so much that the force of the envelope of the balloon explodes, and then the weather balloon falls back to Earth, and they get the data from it. And you can literally see the fucking balloon with the bare naked eye from the ground at 120,000 feet. And I'm sure if you really wanted to do some shit hot research, I've never looked it up because I don't feel the need to. But I'm pretty sure if you looked up YouTube and went just put in weather balloon viewed from the ground.
Okay, so why wouldn't you do a search on this though, right?
Well, I don't
Do you
need to
not see?
because I've seen it and I understand how the atmosphere works and I understand that there's a pressure gradient and I understand that at the Kármán line, I understand that the atmospheric pressure goes from sea level pressure, which changes every day, all the way up to nothing, which is where the Kármán line is. And I understand that in all the history of mankind, no one has never needed a container to contain nothing. Thus forth, there is no container needed for the atmosphere.
See, but Jazza, if you understood that, you wouldn't say that.
No, I said that because I understand that, dude.
Jazza. What's up, brother?
How are you, man? Long time.
I'm not quite sure what the position is for the other side. Or is it denying satellites? Is it saying that satellites aren't what we're told they are?
No, they're saying that space doesn't exist because air pressure requires a container to have air pressure, right? And this is where they get fucked up. Is the atmosphere is not under air pressure. The atmosphere is under atmospheric pressure. You can locally measure it with PSI if you like, but it's not an accurate reading because there is a pressure gradient. And they say there's a pressure gradient in a propane tank. No, there's not. That's why you get all the propane out, because there's gas pressure. All the molecules are pressing equally on all sides of the container. That's how you get all the gas out. Otherwise, you wouldn't get it.
So your claim about the whole it expands to the size of a football field, dude. I've seen where people have put cameras on their the payload of the weather balloon, right? Like they had a camera pointing out, camera pointing down, and a camera pointing up, right?
Yeah.
Looking at the weather balloon. So, with the distance that camera is from the weather balloon, you think that's far enough away that if you were like standing in the middle of a stadium and you backed up that far up in the air, right? With a camera, that you would now have the whole stadium in your view? How high up would you have to be? How far away from the ground would you have to be to see that whole stadium to make the fucking claim you're making right now that they expand larger than a football field, bro? Because, okay, so not because I know you said you've seen it, but you're also a man, and I believe no man. Sorry from the get go, I don't.
Yeah, okay, well, this is what makes you paranoid. And
No, it makes me
yes,
aware of my surroundings to realize how many liars there are in the world.
okay, from what you just said, I sense quite a few tablespoons of paranoia. What I'm saying is that I have no reason to disbelieve. I literally have no reason. And you guys always say that's an appeal to authority fallacy. I have no reason to disbelieve them. I have no reason. What they're saying makes sense to me from what I've learned.
Okay, I have a reason that I see. Why do you see that as a problem?
I personally don't see it as a problem. I personally see it as a reason for discussion. Perhaps, I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Well, because
Seriously.
honestly, dude, like because most people really don't take that stance, and I will take your word for that right now that you are telling me the truth about how you are approaching this. Because, dude, I've kind of known you for like a good minute now, dude. Like it's been
Yeah,
years
yeah.
that you've been around. So, yeah, no, all right, like I can at least get where you're coming from, then, dude. And I appreciate that. If it doesn't matter to you, whatever. Because some people wrote it really sounds like what I believe matters to them for some weird fucking reason, dude. Because
Yeah,
I know, because I've had conversations with you just about like everyday things, normal things, and we've had great conversations, you know. So that's why I'm at least giving you the benefit of the doubt on this one, man.
but what you have to think of, and I've sort of learnt this in the last few months, is that obviously both sides are stubborn, right? I think the Earth's a globe and it's spinning because of the evidence I've seen. You don't. But if we're going to be true to ourselves, and that's, I'm not spiritual, but that's probably the most spiritual thing I've ever fucking said, is you can't, in respect to each party, in respect of one of us is going to be wrong one day. So in respect of each party, you have to give an ounce of, hey, maybe you're right, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you're right, maybe I'm wrong. Do you know what I mean?
Dude, I can almost guarantee that we're both probably wrong. It's probably fucking option 3. Watch.
Yeah, well, exactly. No, but see what I just did. Like I could have said, no, you're completely fucking wrong. I said, from what you just said we both could be wrong. I was like, yeah, both could be. Who fucking knows? You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude. No, it helps to be able to, like you said, at least have a discussion.
Yeah, yeah. But you know, yeah, I got your message the other night. Did we talk last night or the night before or something?
Yeah, dude, I felt bad because like we were having a cool conversation, and then dude jumped in and he kind of like came in guns blazing right off the bat, and I was just like, ooh, wow.
Yeah, yeah. And I
I'm
was
ready.
like, oh fuck this, I'm out. But you know, fucking good talks, man. I got to go, but yeah, fucking yeah. We'll
No
we'll
worries, dude, man. Have a
we'll
good day,
chat.
dude.
Yeah, man. We'll chat again.
Don't get dizzy on that ball.
Yeah, I'll try not to. I'm hanging on for dear life.
Yeah, dude, upside down, right? In fucking New Zealand.
Yeah, yeah. I'm getting thrown out the opposite way.
Yeah, dude. I'll catch you on the other side then.
Yeah, man. Sounds good.
But
Awesome chat. Cheers, bro. Catch ya.
yo, I need to post these images I found right now though, because it's like slow motion of a weather balloon popping, and it looks fucking cool.
Weather balloons are not satellites.
Okay, Kelly.
Well, I had to do a little research to come to that conclusion because when they claim that they're doing balloon launches, it's not for something to eventually orbit Earth. They send up instrument packages. Satellites that enter lower Earth orbit are for. Uh, hold on, I just seen a gigantic bee. Right. So a satelloon is inflated with gas after it gets put into orbit. So it still needs to be put on a rocket to enter orbit, and then the balloon inflates. And then you have things that are put into the atmosphere with balloons. And these are not satellites. These are like your instrument packages.
But I thought there was like tons of little rocks and shit pelting the fucking ISS and stuff, right? Isn't that what we're told? That there's like little like blast craters on the side of it, or not craters, but like blast holes on the side of it. Like,
I'll look it
that's
up.
what the shielding and stuff like that's for and everything, right?
Yeah, I can look that up.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm just my dumb curious mind. Originally, when I first learned about this, went to how did a balloon stay up there that long? Like a half a millimeter thick uh, of mylar. I mean, like I get that that's like a big, like a thick party balloon, right? But it's still just a party balloon. That'd be like you telling me that a party balloon could withstand like a shot from a 22.
I'm
So, but
looking
it
at
stayed up there
yeah.
for almost 8 years. And like here, I forget, so I'm gonna double check what the altitude was that they say that it got to, and compare that to where the ISS is, just so that that argument can't be used, because that never came up before, but I just thought of it right now.
This says that debris the size of a paint chip can make them have to repair it for weeks. Just a little tiny
Yeah.
paint chip. Yep.
What would that do to a fucking party balloon? That's my point.
Oh, okay. So you're saying that if debris were to hit one of these
Echo, no,
balloons,
I'm talking specifically about Echo 1 that was up there for 7 and almost 8 years. I want to
all
look
right.
up what
Yeah, let's look
altitude
at
it
that.
got to real quick. They're saying that it got to. Okay, so orbital parameters. Perigee altitude, apogee altitude. Here, I got a better idea. What height did Echo 1 reach? Damn, I typed in what height did Echo 1 reach, and it was giving me how tall the fucking balloon was. What altitude? Okay, so they're trying to say that it was 1,000 miles high, 999 miles high. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that that's further than the ISS, right? Yeah, so the ISS is only 250 miles. So technically, wouldn't like 800 miles away further be more dangerous, right? Like, so this thing flew for 8 years, stayed up there, full of helium, made of mylar, and stayed up there past
like it destroyed how far the ISS is. Any
All right,
thoughts?
I just read this thing. Yeah, they do in fact. The balloons do in fact get punctured.
So the weather balloon did get punctured.
I'm trying to find out about the Echo specifically, but this is a different. This is a different balloon that. Yeah, I posted what it says about it.
Cool. I'll take a look right now. Because, like, so, I mean, what happens when it gets hit, right? Does it pop or does it stay up there when the weather balloon gets hit? Explorer 16 experience
I could
55
be, I could
punctures.
be, I could be wrong, but I think that there's like several layers, and that the outside layer, it's cool if it gets hit.
So, what were they using to shield it from things faster than bullets in the 1960s? Like that should be information that's in there, not just that it was a big weather balloon that they popped up. Like the pictures of it, dude. Like, come on. Like, and there's no discussion of that it was internally protected by shit. Nah, dude. You can even see the seam of the fucking balloon in the picture. So, like, what they used to seal that seam? Like, wouldn't the vacuum of space try to rip that apart?
Super glue and or duct tape.
Or a thumb. Remember the ISS when the dude stuck his fucking thumb to stop the hole?
That was just
Also,
CGI.
also depending on if you're in lower Earth orbit or higher than that, I think like there's a certain altitude above the Earth where you're more likely going to get hit by debris, and satellites are typically not there.
But we're talking about a gigantic balloon.
How did the debris get there?
By launching stuff.
But in 1960, there was no debris of that. It would, like, so, and it's not the debris, like, okay, so I remember in being taught that we are constantly being pelted by micrometeors, right? That burn up in the atmosphere as they come in. We just don't see it because it's so high up, right? So they're technically like out of Earth's atmosphere, right? At 1,000 miles up, right? Like, isn't that past the Kármán line? Right?
The article
So,
I'm reading is about a satellite that's 470 miles above the Earth. So that's, well beyond the Kármán line.
okay. So, this balloon was past where they have satellites now, right? So, what was protecting it? Because it's a party balloon that was shiny like a fucking disco ball that we're being told was launched up there and stayed up there for 8 years without nothing poking through it. That's not a little bit suspicious to you, man? Like, just a little bit?
Yeah, but what do you mean it was a party balloon?
It was made out of 0.5 millimeter thick mylar. You know what mylar is, right? Same thing they make the shiny party balloons out of. Granted, they are kind of hard to poke with your finger. Like, they're tougher than normal balloons, I'll give you that. But it's still just a party balloon.
I mean, I imagine that this
So what
balloon
should
is.
what should poke through it? In space.
Micrometeors flying at it, the same thing that we're told belts Earth constantly.
It's not one of these rubber balloons that we use for birthday parties. This is made out of metal.
Yeah,
It's
I don't
made
think
out of mylar,
it's
dude.
that
It
delicate.
clearly says it's made out of mylar.
Yeah, definitely, I agree. It's made out of mylar, but I don't think it's. I mean, mylar. It's what? It's almost like tinfoil, right? I
Tinfoil
mean,
in
even
space. That's just as good.
yeah, even to just poke a normal mylar balloon, like you're not just gonna do it like if you threw a toothpick at it, it wouldn't go through it.
Yeah, but a toothpick isn't flying faster than a bullet. What would happen if you shot a 22 at a mylar balloon?
Yeah, well, maybe during the 8 years, it was lucky not to be hit by a micrometeorite.
There's your two answers. If you
It's
threw a toothpick
possibility.
at it, it wouldn't bust it, and then maybe it was lucky enough. There was an echo too, also.
Yeah, I know. That was just lucky enough too. That stayed up there for almost 5 years, or it did stay up there for 5 years, over 5 years, I think, 5.5 or something. So yeah, dude, they were just lucky. NASA's some of the luckiest motherfuckers out there, dude. They should be playing the lottery if it wasn't a scam. Like they just happen to get lucky all the time, right? Like, dude, you really said that. Thank you for making my day at 8 o'clock in the morning. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
I needed to
You're
laugh.
welcome.
Maybe they got lucky. Oh my god.
Maybe, yeah. Who knows?
So is that your scientific answer?
No, it's. I'm not saying that is the answer. I'm just saying it's a possibility.
I'm saying it's a possibility that it wasn't even up there because it's a
That's
party
also a
balloon.
possibility. That's also a possibility. They might just be faking it. But if you're going to entertain that possibility, then you also got to entertain the possibility that it might have really gone up there and nothing hit it
Well,
and it came back
that's the
down.
problem, bro. At one time, I did entertain that possibility. I believed everything they were telling me, dude. I'm still a Star Wars fan, man. I loved fucking space. Are you kidding me? Like,
No, but what I'm saying is don't come to any conclusion on it unless you have evidence. Just keep your mind open. Hold both possibilities that maybe NASA faked it and maybe they did send something up there while you're still searching for concrete evidence because it sounds like you don't have that evidence. But you want to come to some sort of conclusion. I'm not sure based on what.
coming to a conclusion based on a bunch of different things I've seen in a bunch of different areas that add up.
Okay. That's fine, man.
Like, I mean,
But then, if you come to that conclusion, do you then expect everybody else to have the same opinion you have?
no. And honestly, I really don't care if they do. That's why I'm able to talk to guys like Jazz fucking all day, dude, and not have a problem with them. I used to have my own channel, man. I used to have people on all the time. I used to have some of the major fucking globe trolls on my channel talking to me. And they liked talking to me because I would entertain their ideas. I would sit there and look up their shit with them. So, yeah, no, dude, I still keep an open mind on things, dude. Like, if I'm brought something that is contrary to what I already think of things, I definitely stop and look at it, dude, because I don't want to look like a complete idiot if I do ever go to talk about it.
Investigating it means you're not holding a bias that it's all fake. So you would further research more satellites, more independent studies, what they're made out of. And then you could look at people that track the satellites, people that actually receive the information via radio signals.
No,
Where the
dude, because you
satellite is, they
see,
look in the sky, they look at the celestial sphere,
I
where the
agree with
satellite's
Callie.
supposed to be,
you see,
and you can
Callie's
track
on
it.
point. Callie's on point. Yeah.
you're like steps further, and I'm saying that they haven't shown me the first steps for me to even believe that that could happen.
Let's track a satellite together. We should both find a satellite that claims it's in a certain spot in the sky, and then get our telescopes pointed the right direction at the celestial sphere and see if we can see it. We should want to do
Exactly.
that. Yeah.
100%. Yeah. That is what you should be doing. You should be going out there and trying to debunk these things for yourself, but just sitting at home and watching a
No, dude, you
2 hour
see, we
2 hour
okay,
documentary on
so
YouTube. I don't think that's going to get you anywhere. And
you
having
don't
arguments with
understand. You guys
Jessica
have
on
no
Discord, I don't think that's going to help, man.
dude, so you guys have no idea like the things that I've been involved in with stuff? Or that some of us have been involved in that we've
Well,
actually done. We've gone out
give us
as
an
like
idea.
large groups and have done different observations in different places to
Do you
You know what I
have any of this
seen, man?
Do you have any of this documented? I mean, so are you saying that you've gone out and tracked satellites within a group setting?
no, actually
What did you do then?
not even satellite specifically, all right? I'm talking about like anything because you just like made like a large like umbrella claim that all we do is watch YouTube videos and stuff like that. And no, a lot of people are out there actually doing things. And that's what I was saying is I've been a part of groups that have gone out to do different like observational tests and stuff like that. Not necessarily for satellites, but um to take a look at where the curvature of the Earth was, right? Like stuff like that. We did things.
All right.
We were not just
So
sitting at home, bro. Not all of us.
what exactly did you do within this group setting where you were looking for the curvature of the Earth? Like, you guys must have documented what you did and what your findings were, right?
Yeah, dude. There's
So what were your findings?
we were able to see line of sight mirror flashes from coast to coast on the water from 13 miles across.
All right. Could you share these findings with us?
Yeah, here. Let me pull up the monitor. Dude, this is like 5 years old, bro. That's why. That's why a lot of the people around here probably haven't seen it because like shit's been buried out there, and like this started as the Salton Sea test with Nat Geo. I don't know if you even know what that was. Where
Should
Nat
I
Geo
Google
was out
that?
there with a bunch of flat earthers and shit.
Salton Sea test Nat Geo.
I'm sorry, what was that, dude? Let me turn you up because you're low.
Oh, you were part of this thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing this. Yeah.
Yeah, so we went back because they pissed us off and like fucked up the whole thing that day. And didn't do anything right, didn't listen to anything that we told them needed to be within the parameters to, you know what I mean? Like, so when you go out there on water and you want to do an observation, you need to be there either later in the night, all right, or early in the morning, right? When it's cool and the heat isn't hitting the water and you don't get any
Yo,
kind of, all right?
can I second this emotion?
Go for it, Snaps.
Only because like I was streaming on Poncho's your first test or whatever, and I remember it was like 2 o'clock in the morning your time. I was in New Jersey streaming it, and yeah, like Nathan Gonzalez got on, and he was like, "Yeah, we got it. Like it works. Like it was good. Like they were able to cite it or whatever at night. But then, the morning refraction just changes by the hour from there. And especially this place is very active as far as like the different fronts. And I don't know. You remember when we were down there, Uber, like that one day when we were trying to do the mirror flash, we were trying to gather some intel on how that was going to work. And it's just, I remember seeing like 7 different layers of like atmosphere all move in different directions and stuff. It's like, it's a high traffic area for all these different weather fronts. Anyway, yeah, that's all. Just my 2 cents.
But yeah, dude, so like we've seen things that have already convinced us that there is no curvature.
And as far as with the satellites, man, that's the stuff above my head, above my. It's funny to say above my head. But
Can I say something?
that really
The
doesn't matter as
reason,
much to me as what's under my feet.
the real reason people contend the existence of satellites is because you're giving adherence to orbital mechanics, if so.
No, because I would if something is up there just floating
You
around. Like
can't
I
have things
go with the
orbit.
balloons.
You have to deny mass attracting mass. You have to deny orbital mechanics because all that conflicts a flat Earth.
What if they're just following the magnetic flow? What if they figured something out like that? What if this is all? What if we're sitting on a big fucking ring magnet right now, dude? Okay, not a globe, but a ring magnet. So there's paths of magnetism, right? Like I don't know if you've ever seen Ken Wheeler's video where he's got like the ferrosphere or the ferrous fluid, right? Um, and he puts a magnet up to it, and he can see like the path of the magnetism in it, right? So what if they figured out a way to ride that, dude? There's an idea, you know, like keeping an open mind on stuff.
I've considered that.
That mass attracting mass isn't a thing anymore. Now it's bending and warping in space time. It's obsolete. So mass attracting mass is obsolete. Nobody goes by that anymore. The only time that's ever used is to teach small children about gravity. The
You're way
big
off,
ball
dude.
attracts the little ball. No,
You're
I'm not.
100% wrong. Yeah, you are.
No, I am not. Because mass
G is
attracting
used
mass
in
implies
equations.
gravity is
Yeah.
a force. Mass attracting mass implies gravity is a force between two objects pulling each other. And Einstein said
We
it's absolutely not. The bending and warping in space time and gravity wells.
we use
No, you just
Newtonian
believe in what
mechanics
flat Earth.
formulas all the time.
No, pretty much the Big Baller Club, bending and warping in
There you
space
go.
time.
You can't demonstrate mass attracting mass. It's never been shown.
What
If
I'd like
mass
to
is
see is
attracting mass,
flat Earth is
if,
not
if,
kind of
if,
repeating the flat
if,
Earth shit and actually being
if,
real.
if mass is attracting mass,
Yeah.
if
Go ahead.
if mass is attracting mass in your heliocentric model, is the moon getting closer or further away from the Earth?
Yeah, moreover, you can't demonstrate in the lab. You've got static attraction, magnetic attraction. That's about it.
What
Yeah,
are you
you're
guys
not
talking
having
about now?
mass attracting mass.
If you're going to be
My
dishonest
Demonstrate
though and
lower.
try and
gravity in the
repeat
lab.
what David
Mesh.
Weiss says, then that's bullshit, isn't it? You know, when you teach it to
No,
kids
my
in
lower
school,
will never
bollocks.
attract small particles of dust to it to orbit around it. Mass attracting mass has never been demonstrated. And like I said, if mass is attracting mass, is the moon getting closer or further from the Earth? Simple question. Is it getting closer or further? What is
I
it?
think it's moving further away
Well,
You gotta
because
go to
because
Cavendish
the
to
Earth's
actually
mass is not.
understand that
Come on,
that's what
bro.
they
You heard
use
me
to
talk.
prove mass attracts mass. Cavendish experiment is what they use.
You heard
That's
me
all they
talking.
have is a
That's fucked
Cavendish
up.
experiment, which is a flawed
So
experiment
anywho,
anyway.
to answer your question, Vax, I think the moon's getting further away, but you gotta remember, the Earth ain't the only piece of mass in our solar system. There's other planets that also have a gravitational
So
attractional
Jupiter
pull
is
on the moon.
getting Pluto. So that means everything's getting closer to each other in the solar system. Is that what's happening? Is
Yeah,
everything getting closer? No, it's not.
I wouldn't say everything's getting closer. I would say that the pulls between the different bodies within the solar system has a two-way effect on everything, and it kind of equalizes out, you know?
How are you possibly introducing the idea of poles in the sky? We have one pole, which is the North Pole, and the secondary pole, which is the South Pole, has
I
yet to
said
act.
pull,
Hold on a minute, I'm not done. Finish,
P-U-L-L,
I'm
not
not
pole.
done. I'm
I'm
saying,
correcting
Well,
you.
the South Pole
but
doesn't
didn't you say
exist.
multiple? Didn't you
I
say
didn't
poles
say
within it?
pole. I
Didn't you
didn't say
say?
Not
pole. I
pole,
said
Didn't
pull.
pull,
you? Didn't,
P-U-L-L.
oh, I'm so very sorry. Thank you for the correction. But again, the question being, how do you have multiple points of attraction?
Because things are in different directions and locations with relation to each other. So the sun Moon and the planet Venus all have a gravitational pull or interaction with our moon. So the
Okay,
moon's
so
not just going
it's
to be pulled towards Earth and then ignore the pull Venus has on it. You know,
okay. So in your model, then, how many points of attraction are there?
it depends how many different pieces of mass they are. So in our solar system, we got what 8 planets, and aside from Earth, most planets have more than one moon, and then there's the sun as well, and then there's the meteor belts. So all of these different things have an effect on each other. It's a system.
That's such a lie, dude. How are you going to say that asteroids and meteor belts have an effect on Antarctica or North America? That's bullshit. They don't have an effect on anything. You
But
can't
that's
prove
but
any
that's
of them
not
to
what I
be
said,
real.
bro. That's such a straw man. The
You
words that
you
I
just said
the
everything.
words never. I said everything has an effect on everything, depending on the pieces
Yeah,
of matter. I'm
right,
counting
and
the
I said it
Earth.
absolutely
I'm
doesn't.
counting the Earth as one whole piece of matter. I'm not saying just Antarctica or just North
I
America. I'm
yeah, well,
saying
I
the
whatever. I mean, I
whole
was
Earth.
just being silly when I
So to
said that,
sit
but
there and
it's not.
say that I'm just
The
saying that the
meteor belts
moon
have
only has
no
an
no
effect
effect
on
on the Earth.
Antarctica is a lie and a straw man.
First off, nothing has effect on anything. Nothing is pulling anything further or closer away. That's never been demonstrated to be true.
Yes, definitely has.
No, it hasn't.
In the flat Earth
No,
model,
it
we
absolutely
observe
hasn't.
in the flat Earth model we observe buoyancy, and we observe the downward bias and
I thought
upward
you guys don't
bias.
have a
Oh, I am
model.
not even done yet. Give me a second. We
Sorry.
observe a bias, which is determined by little g, an upward and downward bias that you can easily change by changing the medium that you're interacting with. So if you have a basketball example, you drop it off the side of a building, it's going to go down. If you take that same basketball 20 feet deep or 50 feet deep in a pool, it's going to go up. Those are the
Question:
only
What do
two
you mean
directions that we
by
have.
right? But what do you mean by in the flat Earth model? Because I thought you guys didn't have a model.
Well, dude, I say that
What about
respectfully because
young
I don't,
G?
I don't want to, I don't want to walk on anybody. I don't want to walk on anybody's opinions or thoughts. I simply say in a flat Earth model, flat being the absolute polarizing position to hold, contravening the quote globe. Is that better?
All right, cool. So snacks. I think you're hot micing.
Okay, I can't get to the phone real quick. One second.
See, the bottom line is gravity is not considered. Gravity is not a force anymore. Einstein literally even said it's definitely not a force.
Snacks, stop it, man.
I'm good now. Hold on.
So how can
Sorry,
something be
Vex.
a
Go
force
ahead.
when Einstein is the one that says it's not a force in the first place? He said it's gravity wells. It's the bending and warping of supposed space-time. It's not a
Yeah,
force physically pulling on things. If it was
which
a
is
force
fine.
physically pulling on things, no, it's not fine, because if it's not a force pulling on things, that means mass isn't attracting mass, because there wouldn't be a force for those masses to be pulling each other with. So it's
That's
not
exact.
fine. It's double
That's
speaking.
That's exactly it, because even in the Cavendish experiment, where they show mass attracts mass, they require, and again, I'm going to say it, they require an input of energy in order for the Cavendish experiment to work. Now, if you just left the Cavendish experiment without any input of gravity, I don't think you're going to get the same damn results, which that's an absolute fallacy on its face if you're going to mess with science like that.
Absolutely.
I'm not
And I
trying to say
apologize for the
you guys don't understand, but you guys don't
No,
understand.
you don't understand.
No,
You don't
you don't
understand,
understand.
bro.
You
You
don't.
wicked don't understand. You think gravity is a
You
force,
got
man.
no idea. So
Dude, you
mass
Oh,
think
attracting
mass
mass
attracts
doesn't.
mass and pulls objects, a big object will pull a small object.
Okay,
That's not
what's with
how it
the
works.
childish shit? Y'all can
Yeah,
Mass
come
doesn't
childish.
on, man.
attract mass. If mass attracted mass, the special theory of
Come on.
relativity would never have to be invented in the first place.
Yeah. So number one, mass attract mass does not
If
equal
mass
science.
attracts mass,
Oh
that
my
means
god,
fucking rivers
bro.
and ponds and pools would have tides, and they don't. If mass
Hold
attracted
on.
mass, the Earth would not be getting further away from the moon.
Let him come with his rebuttal. Go ahead with your
And if
rebuttal,
mass
please.
attract mass, Jupiter would be sucked into fucking Pluto by now. I mean, Pluto would be sucked.
But what's your rebuttal to
Are
that?
you
If
done? I just want to make sure he's done.
Yeah, he's done. Go ahead, dude.
All right. So mass attract mass does not equal sign force. Mass attract mass is just what we observe. It doesn't tell us though that the cause of this is a force or it's due to the warping and bending of space time. We just see things fall towards Earth and we call that mass attracting mass. Now, why do these things fall towards Earth? Newton never gave us a reason for that. He just
Okay,
used the mass attracting mass to give us, the universal law of gravitation. But taking a step forward to try and explain why this happens, we then say it's due to relativity, the warping and bending of space time. So if you throw something up and it falls downwards, it's falling along a geodesic. Because Earth is in the way, we see this thing fall and hit Earth. Because Earth is bending space time and thus affecting the path along which this thing is falling. It still looks like mass attracting mass because this thing still falls towards Earth, but we don't say it's due to a force. We say it's due to some other type of underlying mechanism, which is really just the interaction between, the background. You guys call it the ether. We
okay.
call it space time, and
Let
the
me cut
things
you off.
within
Hey,
that background.
stop. Okay, let me ask you a question though. Do you realize that? Do you know what a hypocrite is?
A flat earther, yeah. Flat
No,
earth is a hypocrite.
don't do
No.
that. Don't poison the well. I'm asking you a question. Okay, in the definition of hypocrite, there's no mention of flat Earth. You're poisoning the well. So I'm going to ask you again to see if you can
I'm
actually
teasing,
be
I'm sorry.
intellectually honest within the confines of this conversation, because it doesn't sound like I'm joking. I'm pretty damn serious about it. I'm asking you the question:
Yeah, but
what does a
we ain't
hypocrite?
gotta be
No,
that
you're cutting
serious,
me
bro.
off. You're cutting me
Why are
off.
you
No, I'm being
derailing?
serious.
We're
You're
talking
cutting me
about
off.
satellites.
I'm asking you a question. Do you know what a hypocrite is?
I
Derail.
do. I do.
No, it's
But
not a
also, it's a
derail.
Friday
Okay,
morning, bro.
so the
Let's not
question
be so
is,
serious.
I'm saying to you, right, being a hypocrite, right, within your demonstration, is that you chose to talk about when things start to fall to the earth. Yet within your demonstration, your observation, you talked about if you throw something, right? That's the question on its face. Is if you're going to talk about things falling to the earth, right? And I'm not being non sequitur, and I'm not presenting something that's unrelated. I'm saying that if you're going to choose to talk about something that is falling to the earth, just
I'm not sure what the point is you were trying to make there, but
I'm trying to make a
I still
point.
want to try and reiterate it's a Friday morning and let's take it easy. Kali, go ahead, man. Mike's yours.
Clearly, there's a divide whether satellites exist or not. Within the flat Earth paradigm.
Balloons exist with shit attached to them, but a satellite doesn't because a thermosphere doesn't exist.
sorry,
If a thermosphere was,
I was just
if a
saying that
thermosphere,
the
oh,
point
sorry,
of
go ahead.
observing, no, it's okay. I just wanted to say the point, and I hope I wasn't sure how much I got out, is I just wanted to say that if we're going to start observing things falling to the earth, we need to understand how they got there. There had to be an energy input into that thing in order for us to start observing it falling to the earth. That's all I'm getting at.
Yeah. But
Satellites get decommissioned where they no longer assist in its orbital trajectory. That's when they get abandoned and become debris.
yeah, that you never see in any ISS video footage. No one ever runs into it. I mean, the ISS goes around the Earth. What? How many times is it in a day? Like,
Actually, they have to repair. I just looked this up with Uber Flat Earth. There is debris that hits the ISS, and they have to spend weeks repairing it when it happens.
yeah, I remember Don Pettit was asked about that, and one of the dudes giving him the interview goes, "What happens if you guys get hit by debris and you get a hole in the ISS?" You know what his answer was? He goes, there's protocols for that. I'm not sure what they are, but if you have a hole, you have a hole. That, what happens if you put a hole in the side of a fucking airplane while you're flying? I mean, that's catastrophic. What the fuck would happen up there? It's BS. They ain't fixing shit on the ISS. The ISS isn't a thing.
But you could track the ISS.
Yeah, I physically looked at what they claim the ISS is with my fucking telescope, and it's not what they claim it is. It's a fucking plane.
But you believe
Ugh.
there's something orbiting the Earth?
Orbit? Who the fuck said anything about orbiting? I believe that there could be something that tag teams, like they'll fly a couple hundred miles, another one will go up, they'll fly a couple hundred miles. But the ISS is never where it's supposed to be.
That's
It's
not.
supposed to what? Orbit the... How many times does it orbit the Earth in a day? In the globe Earth paradigm, what is it, like a couple hundred times in a day?
You
Or
know,
more?
Jeranism, he has a real good video of him tracking the ISS. I can find it.
Yeah,
I
so
think
but just because he was able
I
to
think
track
it
data.
opens the
track
Earth like 16
he
times
was
a day.
It's like
it's
it's
gonna
like
be more than
90 minutes
16.
to
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
around the Earth. Yeah.
Yeah, so it
But how do
sees
you
like
think Jaren?
16 sunsets and sunrises in one
How
day.
do you think
That's pretty
Jaren tracked it? Yeah, I got to look into that more.
Yeah,
What do you
Jaren
mean, how do you
tracked it
think he
actually.
tracked
A
it?
flat earther
Yeah, but
tracked the ISS.
you can't track it every single day when you're supposed to. That's the problem. Millions of
Dude,
get
he
out of
did
there.
it with like
But you
pinpoint
can.
accuracy.
Yeah, Jaren tracked it, bro. The
He got
video's
a
out
real
there. A
good shot
flat
of the
earther,
ISS.
a
What do you
very
mean
well
he tracked
respected
it with
flat earther
what?
tracked
He
the ISS.
tracked it.
Go
He
watch the
tracked it with
video.
what?
The telescope and
He
the data that they provide that
Yeah.
tells you where it's going to be in the night sky.
And
oh
then he
his
went and
telescope.
tracked it.
I've looked at it through my telescope. I
So you've
physically
seen
looked
it.
at it for like a good. Oh, I didn't see a fucking. No, I did not see a space station falling 3,000 miles an hour around the Earth. No,
Then what
because
did
if
you
I
see
did,
through your telescope?
it was probably just a shit airplane with a bunch of lights attached to the outside of it. That's what it looked like to me.
All right, so you're making a positive claim on what you saw, but there's a lot of data that'll back up that you actually saw the ISS.
Then what's with all the wires and fake footage on the internet and hairspray? I mean, you got to ask these questions, right? If the ISS is really up there, where's the Chinese space station? I don't ever see that motherfucker. It's doing the exact same thing.
Have you looked for it?
I don't ever see. Yes, I don't ever see two space stations streaking the sky at the same time ever. They never.
How did you try and look for it? Like, what did you do? Did you track it? Like, what data did you use to look for the Chinese space station?
What data would you use to look for the
I'm
Chinese space
asking
station?
you,
Maybe just
bro,
download an app on Google
I'm
Play.
asking you. You've said you've tried to look for it and you couldn't find it. I've never tried to look for it. So I'm asking you.
I never said I tried to look for it.
Yes, you
All
did.
I've said
You
was
just did.
no. I said I've literally never seen it in the sky ever, not once.
Oh, okay. Have you tried to look for it?
I've gone out of my way keeping my eye out for it. I mean, there's times where I'll be outside and shut up. There's times where I'll be outside with my telescope. I'll be out there for 9-10 hours, several times a week. So what?
Yeah,
it's my quiet hobby where I can just be by myself. I don't have kids crying in the background. My wife's not bothering me.
You kind of going back and forth now, because first you said you've tried to look for it, and you denied trying to look for it, and you said that you've just never seen it before.
I have an open mind.
When
I'm
I finally
where
asked
it
you
is.
again, have you tried to look for it? You admitted, yes, you have tried to look for it. All right, so we've established.
I haven't. Yeah, I keep my eye out for everything.
You've tried to look for it. So if you've tried to look for it, how have you gone about trying to look for it? Well, what data did you use? Like, did you know that it was going to be in your region of the sky that day, or you were just hopeful you might see it, or like, what did you do?
I guess I got to download the Chinese space station app from the Google Play Store, and then it should tell me exactly where it is. Except I've done that with the ISS app. Except I've done that with the ISS tracking app, and it's never where it's supposed to be. It'll say it's flying over, and it's not there when you're looking. And then when I did actually put my telescope directly on the ISS and tracked it for a good 45 seconds across the sky before it got obscured by my tree line, it's not what they're claiming it to be. If it was, why is it resolving at the exact same size as a fucking 747?
Yeah, I don't know, bro. Like, you kind of wishy-washy.
So now you think
they're flying a plane around
now you think.
Wait, hold on. Let's get this claim correct, because you're claiming that they're using a regular airplane and putting that at the spot that they're saying, if you want to track the ISS, just look right here. You're saying they're flying an airplane in that spot every time for everybody observing?
More or less, yeah.
All right, that's a real hefty claim. Heftier than the ISS.
What's a real hefty claim? The fact that they just use a team of SR-71 Blackbirds or something that fly really high and quickly?
As opposed to there being an international space station? Yeah, that's a heftier claim.
Right, yeah. How is a plane route a heftier claim than an entire space station with like 20 people on board that's been orbiting for 23 years? But all the footage we have of it is fucked up footage on the internet with wires. It kind of seems like the hefty claim would be that there's a tin can in an area that gets well beyond the temperatures of the materials it's built out of to withstand. That seems like a heavy claim to me. It kind of seems like a heavy claim when the ISS gets a hole and then the fucking head cheese astronaut says, if you have a hole, you have a hole. And he doesn't even know what the fucking plans would be to solve that issue if there ever was a hole on the ISS.
So because some dude couldn't answer that question, all of a sudden the ISS is fake.
You mean
Like,
Don
come on.
Pettit? You mean Don Pettit, the guy who... How many years has he spent up there in the ISS?
You tell me. I don't know.
I don't fucking know. I don't follow the guy. He's not my hero. He's probably yours.
He's not my hero.
All
I
I
don't
know
even
is
know who he is, bro.
all I know is you don't know who Don Pettit is. Then why are
I
you
have
here?
no idea who Don Pettit is because I'm here to talk
I'm
to
sure
people.
I'm sure you don't know who Don Pettit is. Yeah,
I really
sure.
don't. Who is he? Who is he?
He's a moron, is who he is. He's an absolute idiot. He's
I'd go
the same
back
guy.
to the moon in a nanosecond.
But we lost the technology, and it's a painful process to build it back.
Okay, let's go back to this plane claim. Let's go back to this plane claim, right? So we know there's no planes that can stay up in the air forever. So there would have to be like a tag team, one or
What are you
two or
talking
more.
about? The United States military says they can have planes in the air indefinitely with air-to-air fueling. So I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Show me footage of air-to-air fueling and if I had two ISSs looking like each other or whatever, or one up there and it getting fuel, then
Show
we can get
you
footage.
better repeat. I didn't hear anything you said. You were mumbling.
Oh, sorry, David Weiss.
Show me footage of what? Two ISSs refueling each other? Is that what you said?
Yeah, or something refueling the ISS from a plane. Where's that footage?
So we just talked about how planes could actually be indefinitely in the air, like strategic bombers and stuff, constantly being refueled. And then you want me to show you two ISSs fueling each other? What the fuck is that?
Why wouldn't they just do that over the Pacific Ocean where there's no land?
Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't be hard to hide that from people. There's only a very small percentage of the Earth that have people standing on it looking. The rest is water.
You know, I'm just here enjoying it. I can freak out because it's just David Weiss on repeat, man. Like 2015.
You sound like you have a bunch of marbles in your mouth. Excuse me. Just like I saw a satellite. When did I see this? This was probably 2 years ago, and it was the strangest thing. It was moving across the sky like satellites are what they're claimed to be do, which, I mean, when you look at those, they look nothing like a satellite at all. They just look exactly like a star. Same blue color, sometimes they're green. But if you were tracking a satellite to where you weren't getting any vibration or movement, and it just looked like a constant still image as you follow the object, like if your telescope had a motor on it and it was really smooth, and you always kept it pinpointed in the center of your frame, you could never tell the difference between that and a star, first off. Second off, there was this one I was watching like I said, it was probably like 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. And it was moving, the way that, these things in the sky will move. And all of a sudden, like, it started slowing down. And it was the funniest thing because this was probably even before I was a flat earther. No, it was about three years ago. Maybe 4. It does anyway. So it's moving, and then it kind of comes to a stop, sort of, and it just kind of hovers there, and it starts going around in a circle. And my brother, he's looking at it. He goes, dude, what is that? I'm like, I think that's a satellite. He goes, why did it stop? I'm like, I don't know. And we're looking at it, and he said something that was kind of profound. He goes, dude, it looks like a balloon that's losing helium. And that was, I mean, he wasn't thinking anything about any of that shit. And then I think back on it, that's exactly what it was. It looks like a fucking balloon that got a leak in it and just started going around in a circle like it's losing its air or its gas. But I mean, again, that's neither here nor there. It's just an interesting observation. I see weird shit in the sky all the time, but I'm not seeing fucking space stations. That's for damn sure.
How do you tell all these people with their own telescopes, like when they want to track the ISS and then they look at that portion of the sky and then they see it? Like, how do you explain that to them?
Explain what?
Being
What they're
able
looking
to track
at?
the ISS.
Well, what do you mean? Like, why wouldn't they see the airplane? How far up can a blackbird fly? Or not even a blackbird. What's the other ones? The SR-71 blackbird, and then there's the U-2, I guess. The
You're
U-2
saying
spy
there's a
plane, but I guess
secret You're saying there's a secret military operation that's flying planes where they're telling you where the ISS will be.
yeah.
So
And what's so far-fetched about that?
versus there just being an ISS where they say it's going to be.
They fly
Right. And the
planes for
thing is,
the GPS system all over.
yeah. But then you got to ask yourself, okay, the ISS is real. You got trained professional astronauts on it. Sometimes, what's the average stay for an astronaut on the ISS in your paradigm? Was it like a year, 6 months? If it's in fact real and it's a real place and they're doing real science up there and trying to help out humanity and blah, 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 space exploration, why do they have their showers next to electrical boxes, and why does everybody have long ass hair and their clothes are never dirty and it always looks like they just came from a dry cleaner? Like, can you imagine what the odor on that fucking craft would be with 20-year-old recycled oxygen? All the mishaps with the bathroom since there's zero gravity, the place would be a disgusting pigsty. When do you ever see the astronauts cleaning? And then you got to think, like, there's so many holes in it. Like, why would you be allowed? Like, you can't have long hair on a fucking submarine. Why would you have long hair on the ISS? I mean, shit, my hair